In this video, we're talking about proof by contrapositive. The definition of a proof by contrapositive is if A implies B is true, then we can also say that not B implies not A. Let's look at a few examples. It says write the contrapositive of the following statement. I would recommend you pausing the video and trying it yourself before seeing the answer. First one, if a number is divisible by 9, then it is divisible by 3. So this would be like A implies B. So think to yourself, what's the opposite of B? And that implies the opposite of A. Well, if a number is not divisible by 3, notice this is not B, not divisible by 3, it is not divisible by 9. And that makes sense. If it's not divisible by 3, then we know for sure it's not divisible by 9. Mathematically, we can prove that. But the contrapositive, you see, the main point here is the contrapositive is true. This is the contrapositive. Both statements are true. Next one, if you are born in India, then you are a citizen of India. A implies B. Think about it. Opposite of B and opposite of A have to be, opposite of B implies opposite of A. If you are not a citizen of India, which is not B, then you were not born in India. And depending on the laws of citizenship, I'm guessing this is true in India. Most countries, you have to be born there to be a citizen. Next, if a triangle is equilateral, it is isosceles. Again, A implies B. And then the contrapositive, if a triangle is not isosceles, then it is not equilateral. Both statements are valid. So just to reiterate and re-summarize, if the implication A implies B is proven by proving, you can prove this statement using this knowledge. So if this is too hard to use a direct proof, you might try proving this statement using a contrapositive. Let's look at a few examples. So our example here, it says, let n be an integer. Prove that if n squared minus 4n plus 5 is even, then n is odd. Now, if you're going to do a proof by contrapositive, you have to write proof by contrapositive to be explicit about what type of proof you're using, okay? So think about it. That's A implies B. So the proof by contrapositive would be not B implies not A. So we can prove it, or we'll try to prove it with using contrapositive, okay? So the contrapositive is, and we just wrote it in symbolic notation, if n is even, which is not B, then n squared minus 4n plus 5 is odd. And notice here how reading the initial statement, how this changes, right? So now we are going to try and prove that this is true. Let's do it. So if n is even, then we can write our definition of what it means to be an even number. There's some k that's an integer, n equals 2k. And then I can substitute in 2k for everywhere there's an n. And my goal here, remember guys, you need some scratch work off to the side, okay? Scratch work. And then afterwards you put your formal proof down. So this is all, so you're doing scratch work, this is your idea, and then you come back over here and write this down nice and pretty. And you're trying to get, if it's odd, we're trying to see like some number 2n plus 1, or 2n plus an odd number, okay? So we're trying to get to that point. So 4k squared minus 8k plus 5, am I there yet? Not really. But notice I can factor out a 2 from both the 4k squared and the 8k. Right? I can factor out a 2 from that. And I can show that it is in fact odd. Now you might be asking, okay, how is this odd? Well, we have a 2 times some number plus 1. Remember, the definition of an odd number is 2n plus 1. 2 times some number, it doesn't matter what that number is, we let n represent that number, plus 1. So here we have 2 times some number plus 1, and that's odd. And we've proven the contrapositive statement, and we say, and hence the original statement is true. Box. That's it for proof by contrapositive.